So, welcome to episode 14 of No Shame here. Unfortunately, today we're not in the No Shame studio. The No Shame studio is now in Antarctica because the whole lot of Dublin is covered under snow. And when I say Dublin, outside Dublin as well, but I think Dublin got the worst of it. So, today I am doing the No Shame podcast on the Limor app here right beside my fire with my dog. Pretty comfortable to say the least. The snow is about up to about a metre. If I open my back door, the snow is falling in. Every time I shovel it away, it's a never-ending battle. So just sitting around here at a turf fire, thinking about life and thinking about spending some stuff that I've had on my head. I'm definitely going to share it with you. So might be good, might be bad, but it'll definitely be train for thought. I have Robin on the phone here as well. So Robin, what's your side of the country like? What are you like?
All right, Paddy. How are you?
How are you getting on?
It sounds lovely there. We should relocate the studio to your fireside.
I was thinking that. Do you know that?
I have to say, it's a real privilege to be having a fireside chat with Paddy Holohan. I never thought I'd see the day.
I told you, Robin. I told you. You bring that good Robin's news in, so you keep the energy flowing. So
we just decided to cut Shane out of this phone call.
Yeah, Shane sacked. Yeah. Shane sacked. Yeah. What was I going to say? Is Ireland and Irish people, the whole country is gone crazy. Is it like that up there?
Yeah, very much so. Like an apocalypse. This seems to happen all the time, but this is the worst snow we've had since 1982. I was in the shop yesterday. It was open for like a brief hour or two. No milk, no bread, just all gone. I felt, I was laughing at it. Remember all the memes going around on social media at the start of the week before the snow came?
Yeah.
Everyone had stocked up on bread and milk, and it was just sort of like bleeding socks, laughing at them all. And then the snow came with a vengeance on Wednesday. I had no bread. I had no milk.
That's what you get.
Crazy.
That's what you get. Yeah, that's crazy actually though. Like Irish people, like if something seriously happened in Ireland, we would be in trouble. Like we'd be in a bad way if something serious happened. Irish people are queuing outside shops for like up to 2 hours at a time in the snow. There was like a video going around one of my local stores, and like a bread tray gets wheeled in, and I mean it's like fleeced in 2 seconds. Some people are not even paying for the bread, even though they're waiting for it. Not even paying for it. All the schools are closed. There's a red warning, but you know what? Everybody is secretly delighted. I think Ireland needed this. You know, like we should plan this once a year. We should. I had to close the gym as well. I went down. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, I got some jiu-jitsu rounds in yesterday, but nearly got stuck in the Jeep. And like outside my house, you said it wasn't even that bad up your way, Robin. But outside my house is like it's like at least a metre of snow.
Right. I seen John Phillips' Instagram story actually. If you haven't seen it, I would check it out. But he's been going around pretty much like ignored all warnings, all to stay indoors. He's been pretty much outside for the whole thing. I think he was walking up to John Cavanagh's house to do a bit of training, and John lives up in the hills.
He lives up from us, yeah. So he lives up again, which is worse. So
yeah. And the boys, he had his entourage with him.
Phil Brayburn and Mike, Big Mike. Yeah, no, he's hilarious, he is.
Oh, brilliant, yeah. His fight's really interesting now in a couple of weeks.
Oh, definitely, and to see the kind of the training that he's at the putting in, you can see, like, even with just watching his videos, if you go back and look at his Instagram, he's going to be huge after he knocks somebody out in the UFC.
Yeah.
So
I was only saying it to Shane the other day, like if he like is the star that everyone thinks and knows he's gonna be in the UFC, like it's only a matter of time before they're making a movie about him, because he's just such a cool character. Like it just all comes naturally to him. He's an entertainer, isn't he? In all cycles of life.
He's like Chopper Reed, he is. Here's something I wanted to say, right? Something that was popping through my head, because being stuck in here, like, it's actually been great for the mind, you know what I mean? Not having to worry about things to do, because there's nothing you can do, and usually, like, you're jumping from your one thought to the other thought, you know what I mean? But now you can actually kind of chill out because you can't go anywhere. That's what I'm kind of enjoying about this. But I was seeing some on the news the other day, right? And this is what I wanted to say. The news lady was able to tell us everything that was happening with the homeless people, right? So homeless people, you've probably heard up your way as well. You know every part and every place where homeless people were sleeping. They know every detail about it. And it was kind of like a good little list, and I was thinking, you couldn't imagine sitting there on a sunny May day, could you, and get that same report? Isn't it crazy how things like that pop up in the middle of nothing?
Yeah.
Like, and I was thinking, in one day, all of Ireland solved the homeless crisis, if you must. So, well, everybody had a shelter for the night. So, and they were even able to say 16 people, Robin. So I don't know if you've seen it, but they had to say 16 people slept rough last night. Because the people wouldn't go into shelters. I think one couple had they had a dog or something like that, and they wouldn't go. And it was just crazy to say that. I want reports on homelessness and stuff like that during the days of May.
Yeah. No, it's great. Yeah, it's great to see the sense of community at times like this. And you're right, you wouldn't see that in May. Like, there's a silver lining to every situation, isn't there? Like,
yeah.
But I find Irish people are good for that when it comes to it. Like, you know, there's a great sense of community in this country, something you don't always get in other countries. But Ireland is very much a big, massive neighbourhood, isn't it? Like,
definitely,
it's all the same.
Yeah, no, I did, like, and people know that all over the world as well, which is like, if you think of Irish people, the amount of countries that we pollute, if you must, you know what I mean? But it's always, it's a positive kind of, I think as a nation, it's a positive thing when you meet an Irish person, you know what I mean? Automatically people give you, like, the benefit of the doubt, if you must, you know? Maybe they shouldn't. That's why a lot of countries have hundreds and thousands of us in them. There's more people outside Ireland than there is in Ireland.
Absolutely. But even, do you know what I noticed, Paddy, as well? Like, even the homeless thing is great, that everyone's helping out there, but even it's been good just in the sense that, you know, people staying in with their own families, and their own kids, like, and just getting to spend some time with each other, because when you're out working and you're busy and all that, you don't always get to do that, spend that quality time with each other. Like, think of all the kids that have, like, so many memories of the last 2-3 days, like, just you know, out building snowmen with their or snow women.
But some of the stuff up here, man, there's grannies and, like, in their 80s being dragged on the back of vans and sleds and stuff like that. A guy I know up the top of the estate, his granny's on a sled. There's guys over across the road. They had, I know, seen it on I think it was Facebook, a video on it. They're driving around and, like, you know, one of them scoop diggers.
Yeah.
And they're just driving around the housing estate, loads of them hanging off the back of it and stuff like that. And then people have woke up with horses in their garden. Like, it's like the zombie apocalypse out there. I went over to the shop today, I did, and literally we're walking, like, there's one footpath, but it's like in the middle of the main road, like, and it's a person, nobody's driving on it.
I just know somewhere in all of this, there's some content fucker who's stocked up before anyone else, just with loaves and loaves of bread. He's looking out his window, dipping his bread into a glass of milk, fucking wanting to go away. In the chaos. Like.
Oh yeah, do you know what? Sleds. That would have been a good investment. If you had a rake of sleds now, you would have been making a fortune.
Did you see the Phoenix Park? Did you see any of those videos?
Yeah, I see. It's class, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
Like, unbelievable. All the Irish people down there in their Aldi wear. Why do Irish people even own skis? There's people pulling skis out of nowhere. So, big story this week. Well, this week it'll probably be a bit late on Tuesday, but this week is the Jon Jones fella. What's the story with that?
Yeah, Jon Jones, his appeal was unsuccessful. The California state have fined him and revoked his license. Despite his best efforts to sort of plead otherwise, he was fined $205,000, and he won't have his license back until he's served his ban and sat before jury again.
Oh no! And so, but like, it's kind of his, I would say, his own fault in a way, isn't it? But like, what's the claim? What's the claim to innocence?
Well, he says, you know, he obviously his whole defence was, you got to believe me, I didn't do it.
It sounds like Bart Simpson.
Yeah, I didn't do it. But he said it's been science that's been kicking me in the ass, if I can say that. So I think that was, you know, he's blaming science now. Fuck you, science.
Did him and Misha, they had a little knock back and forward as well on Twitter, did he?
I didn't actually see that, Paddy. What was it?
I didn't even see it, but I did see one tweet, right, and it was absolutely hilarious, right? It was about putting PEDs. He's like, I support Jon Jones on this one. Or I support Misha Tate on this one. Because Jon Jones, or the only bad thing that she put into her body was Brian Caraway. Like, and I think Brian Caraway actually, tweeted back, and it was like, whoa. Fair play to him. You know what I mean? You've got to take hats off to that. But like, that's creativity. Yeah. But that's kind of the only part that I've seen of the whole thing. Like, I think it's fucking crazy. Like, we even went back and forward on the last one, but like, yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. Since USADA came in, maybe people are but they can't be uneducated on the drug situation, because like the UFC make you do kind of like a seminar on how to not get contaminated for drugs, like, you know what I mean? Like, with the idea of, they tell you, like, don't use companies that use different machines, because when they mix in the machines, that the proteins and stuff like that, they could be mixed with agents that are on the USADA banned list. So it's unless now, he said something about the paperwork being filled in. Now, I'd probably be guilty of that myself, to be honest, getting the paperwork filled in by his management. So I'd say he was probably, maybe, you know, because you have to do, there's an app you have to have for USADA, which checks you in. So wherever you travel to, you have to check in and say that's where you are, so they can come and test you. So I'd say maybe his management were kind of doing that as well, because that is a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a pity. Like, there's absolutely no winners in this scenario. Everyone is a loser. Because, you know, the fans are getting robbed of what Jon Jones can do. Like, Jon Jones himself has wasted his best years now as a fighter. The whole, like, DC, like, you know, who in his own right is one of probably the greatest fighters that the UFC have ever had. You know, like, he's been a great champion, but he can't even, like, you know, be seen as like a proper champion because he hasn't, you know, defeated Jon Jones, and the fact that, you know, Jon Jones has fought him twice, and like, did he test positive the first time as well? Did he?
I think so. Yeah. As I said, like, so many these times, and even with twisting the fights, it's hard to keep up. But like, it's just, I think even the idea of DC. I heard it. There was like a quote during the weekend. I think someone said that DC or Jon Jones is an extraordinary person in a group of extraordinary people.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's true.
You know, so DC being like an extraordinary person, and then Jon Jones just being that extraordinary again, you know, is a hard thing to contend with, isn't it?
Yeah.
What a kick in the nuts. You just happen to be the best, but there's one guy that's just that little bit better. No, but DC, man, you watch DC fight all day, no matter what the result is.
Yeah, that fight as well between the two of them, you know, was like, up until that head kick, that was a brilliant fight, wasn't it? Like, DC was probably slightly ahead against Jon Jones. DC
puts it on, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That's one thing you can say about him. He puts it on.
Oh, absolutely. I think the best thing in this scenario to do would be to just let Jon Jones and Brock Lesnar fight.
Oh, don't
let them take whatever the fuck they want. Like.
that would, I don't even, how does that happen? Like, I don't know how that justifies, because like, the situation when he was coming back the last time was not that it was in his contract that he couldn't be drug tested or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it was within 6 months, and then he failed the drug test after as well, and then left, and now he's coming back again. It's like, don't forget. Do you know what? I'm reading a book. I am right. I was saying it to Shane as well. I was that 1984, I think it's called. Have you ever read that with George Orwell?
I've seen the movie.
Oh, well, I usually read a book before the movie, you know what I mean? If it's not put straight, no, not even that, but if it's not put straight in front of my face in like the cinema of, I have to go see that, I don't usually get to see films.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? They need to PR me. You know, is that what it is? They need to put it in front of my face. But anyway, the guy talks about like that exact example as you're sort of talking there, where it's like, I'll just forget what Brock Lesnar did. Don't worry about this. They tried to delete your thoughts like in this book. It's awesome, man. If you haven't read it, check it out.
I must read it. Yeah, I always like reading books. Actually, that's a lie. That's a lie.
It's hard to get into. It is hard to get into.
Yeah.
But
it's the attention span. It's the attention span.
But do you ever read a few pages and then you're like, shit, what did that even say? You just got to keep reading then, and then it just makes sense.
Yeah, you read 20 pages and you count the pages, and then you close the book and you're like, what was any of that about?
So what?
And you know what the worst bit? Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
The worst bit about reading a book is, you know those times where you're kind of getting tired and you just get stuck on a loop on the same sentence? You read it over and over and over. I'm
usually drooling down my chin by that time, and anyway. So, and Jon Jones, as well, we were saying they got mad money to pay a big fine.
Yeah, 205,000 in fines against him.
Oh man, probably a kick in the
including 40% of his 500,000 disclosed pay for the title bout against Daniel Cormier.
Oh man. Can everybody not just forgive everybody and just go back and just fight and make sure that's clean? I think they tried that.
I know. I couldn't help though but laugh at so many. I was reading, there was a video of his whole sort of proceedings in court, and some of it, you just can't help but laugh at it. Like, you know, one of the juries went back as far as 2012 to bring up Jones' famous car crash in which he destroyed a Bentley gifted by the UFC President Dana White. And a drag race charge that led to his arrest for a parole violation stemming from a 2015 hit and run crash.
Shit.
You know, this is all the shit he's done in the past. Like, you know, she also raised questions about his validity of a polygraph test Jones submitted to prior to his hearing, noting only 4 questions were used in the defence's materials. But he sort of like, look, call me stupid and all that, like, call me whatever you want. I know it messed up in the past and I've done all this stuff, but I'm not a drug cheat.
That's a hard, tough one to call. That is now. I'd stay out of that one if it was an option for people. Do you know what I mean? Unfortunately, some people.
But, it's just the big thing with the UFC at the minute is it's lacking in stars, isn't it? Like, there's all these fights coming really fast and really quick, but it's like there's just no like superstar there at the minute to draw you in. That is the growth in show, like, because it would be a long time since I've even kind of met up with a lot of my friends and sat down, and I know I used to do that a lot of the time when it was more like less frequent, if you must, you know what I mean. But then at the end of the day, the more kind of shows there is, the more opportunities it gives fighters. So, and that's needed as well, because people don't want to be sitting on the shelf waiting, especially when they're contracted, you know. Yeah. So that's not a good idea. So May, what do you think? Dublin, UFC, Dublin in May. Yeah, UFC. What about Darren Till and Gunnar Nelson? Is that going to happen?
I don't know. Like, I haven't seen that. Like, I've only seen what's kind of online about it, but like, by the sounds of it, Gunny wants to do it. His dad, Hallie and stuff like that, stuck her up again, and John has stuck her up, and so Gunny, he's 100% to go. So I don't know what the thoughts are on Darren Till. Like, I kind of what did he say? He said, have you got it there?
Darren Till, he said, I'm not scared of Gunner's grappling, I'm not scared of Usman's wrestling, I'm not scared of Woodley's para, I'm not scared of Thompson's karate. He says, I don't give a fuck about any of them, I'm not scared of any of them. They should be fucking scared of me because I'm a vicious little cunt. That's what I am.
He is a vicious little cunt. That I'll give him that, a vicious little scouser. I live at one, I know. What was I going to say? No, but being vicious against Gunny would be a big mistake. Not that Gunny will get vicious, but it's like the harder you go, the better you make them look, make grapplers look like that, you know. Gunny be like getting thrown a wet blanket at you, you know. It's like just sucks you up. He's a different animal. Oh, I'd love to see that. As a fan, I'd love to see that myself. 100%. I think that has to be the main event. You know what I mean? Because not that I can't think of a few, but I'm sure there's going to be a few guys as well that would probably want to come through and fight on that card.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Like, and that'd be great. That'd be like those cards are always good for like a few up and coming local fighters as well, aren't they?
Well, everyone you get to make a name, you know what I mean? And you could, especially in your own hometown, it's like there's nothing better than fighting in your hometown because you're close to your house and like your people are there. They don't have to travel, and you don't have to travel as well, which is huge, you know. So to me, I always like fighting in Dublin, but fuck it, fight anywhere. That's what I say.
Yeah. Did you go? Remember, UFC was in Dublin before the sort of. Before the Conor McGregor era.
Yeah.
And Conor and all. And you were probably at it too, right?
Tom Egan fought on it. Yeah, it was Tom Egan that fought. It was I think it was Rich Franklin, and I'm not too sure the main event was. Maybe Dan Henderson.
Yeah.
In the main event, so that was it. Yeah, that was a cracker. That was in the same. So we were all there. Most of us were there.
Right.
Most of the guys that fought.
What was it like being in the crowd at the time? Like. Did you have that visualization that, you know, I'm going to be there
100%.
next time I come?
100%. Knowing that Tom could do it, knowing that an Irishman could actually do it, it was kind of like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Especially when you see the gloves and stuff like that on people, it's like, I'm getting a pair of them. Which is good. Like, and the idea is that like now there's a wave of fighters and fighters from all gyms, you know what I mean? There's a good there's a good amateur kind of level for people to get better at as well, you know what I mean? And that's important because you have to have good competition to get better. So like when you look at the amateur scene now, Robin, like it's gonna grow again. Like definitely the bull's gonna pop again, you know what I mean? And then like you nearly have the Ultimate Fighter over now as well, so I'm sure someone now that might be looking for a spot on a Dublin card. That would be an awesome one. Even though he's not from Dublin, but I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would eat one of them.
When does that start actually on TV? Like?
I'm not too sure. Usually a month or two after it's been on. So it's I haven't watched it in a few years. Have you? Did you watch it? You a fan of it?
No, I haven't. Like, to be honest with you, I haven't watched it since Conor did it. Like.
Yeah, but that was a funny one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was hilarious, that was.
Yeah. Uriah Faber was brilliant on that as well. Like, the two of them were, like, you know, they were just, you could see they were just loving it, like, just bouncing off each other, like.
Have you been off work the last few days as well?
Yeah, I've been working from home. So, yeah, it was pretty much just, like, status, right? You know, just judge it yourself, and if you don't think you can get in, then don't try to go in. And it's like, yeah, I'm not going to make in.
Here's a deadly little thing, and I'll leave it on this, because if you get a little bit of chance, you probably haven't heard of it before, but about the Irish slave trade. Have you ever heard of that?
No. About
the Irish slavery. So I ended up clipping onto it, and then I was up to it last night for ages. I don't know where I seen it, but I ended up going down the, as I say, the rabbit hole with it. But the Irish slave trade, about how, even at the start of this conversation, we were talking about how Irish people got all over the globe. So how we are spread, and where you would think, when would you reckon was the biggest time that the Irish spread, Irish people, the gene of Irish people would think about the famine, wouldn't they?
Yeah, That's what
You know what I mean?
said.
But then before the Irish slave trade in like the 1600s, Oliver Cromwell set it up. Well, sorry, I make a mistake there. It wasn't Oliver Cromwell. James the 11th set it up. All right. Last night I was up to about 3 o'clock in the morning, and what he did was he set a proclamation to say that 30,000 Irish people who were rebelling against the English at the time were sent to the Caribbean. So they were sent away as a slave trade. But they didn't call them slaves. So at the same time, like alongside the African American, you had like thousands of Irish slaves being sent to America to be slaves. And when Oliver Cromwell came in, when the plantations time came in, that's when it got really, really bad. They were sending thousands of Irish people to the Caribbean, and if they didn't want to give up the land, they would be sent to the Caribbean, and they would be sent into like slave trade and stuff like that. So, well, I'm not messing. Like last night, it's a long. There was one story. I'll leave her on this, right? And if you get a little chance, have a little look at it, because you'll be reading for ages and ages. There was a ship heading to America, and halfway they realised that that they hadn't got enough food. Well, not that they hadn't got enough, but they hadn't got as much as they wanted, and they threw 1,300 Irish slaves overboard in the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh my God!
I tell you, there's some crazy stories on it. There's stories of how they would have got their freedom would have been they worked for 7 years. So this is why they weren't allowed to be called slaves, because they would have had to work for 7 years, but they came free. But so babies they had were born as slaves, so they were born into slavery. So even if a mother had got her freedom, they were still going to be born into slaves. And they say now that they started to mix it. So Irish slaves were 5 shillings, and African slaves were 50. And so Irish people were murdered, and nobody would even see the difference of it. Like it's crazy when you think of so. I know that a lot of Irish people in modern days would think, and then again, then it says on it as well that it wasn't true, that they weren't slaves, that as they said, I can't remember the word they used, but they weren't slaves anyway. Slaves were people who are always going to be slaves, but people who could work it away were seen as being in a contractable agreement. They still got whipped, Robin. They still got thrown into sheds. They still got smashed up around the head when they weren't doing what they were told. So it was still slavery. But yeah, it's a crazy little thing if anybody's sitting in and they've got nothing to do. Make sure you get down that little hole, and that's it. That's a huge part of how the Irish people, I think, infected the whole world from the say 1600s, I think 15 to 1600s, and then the famine would have been another injection of Irish people into the world. So it's a welcome world. You have all us mad fuckers. Minute the snow kicks up, we're driving diggers and robbing bread out of shops, and we don't know what to be doing with ourselves. But you know what?
Yeah.
The world loves us, Robin. The world loves us. That's the good thing about it.
Yeah.
Keep yourself safe, pal, right? Keep yourself safe. I'm going to bounce off this now and go back to my turf fire. All you listeners out there on Limor, iTunes and all the other iPad things out there, say good night to Robin. And if you're driving anywhere, Robin, be safe. I'm going to try and make it to the airport as I head to Amsterdam tomorrow. I don't know if I'll make it, but sure, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Let's hope you do, Paddy. Let's hope you do.
Catch you again, Robin. Peace.
Pleasure. See you soon.
Peace out.